Hey everybody, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is episode 59 of Coffee, Comics, and Comments, where we show you some great books, we drink some awesome coffee, and read some of the comments you guys left on our previous videos. As you can see, I am not alone. I got my good friend Bob. Bob, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Thanks a lot, Bueller.
Awesome.
How you doing?
He's brought out a lot of really cool books to show, and we got a great topic to talk about today as well. And we're going to jump right into that, but what do we always start with first? The coffee.
The coffee.
The coffee we're drinking. Come on, he's not drinking coffee. That's what happens when you stop drinking coffee. Our coffee is brought to you by Mocha Express, the official coffee shop of Comics with Bueller, not official coffee shop of Everything Comics.
This is true.
That is true. But for me it is. Today I'm drinking, guess what? An eggnog latte. Yes, the day has finally come. I'm drinking an eggnog latte on film again. First time this year, I believe. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. I love it. Thank you so much. Bob, what are you drinking today?
Not coffee. And so, again, I'm still on my diet. Drinking some green tea with some Splenda in it. Woo! But, side note, I have lost 24 pounds so far. So
85 pounds. That's great. He's doing awesome. He's eating like the granola bars all day long and drinking green tea. And he's very fussy all the time. My cat just jerked the camera, so it just bounced a little bit. You know, that's what she does. It's how we roll. But we got a lot of great things to talk about today. First things first, before we get started, I want to mention something really cool, and this is happening in our area. And actually, it's the first time ever. And what it is, it's Image Comics corporate signing event. It's actually happening December 10th. At 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock at a local comic shop. It's called I Like Comics. It's in Vancouver, Washington. Both of us are very familiar with that comic shop. We go there quite a bit. If you guys have ever watched my 50 cent haul videos, the thumbnail is of that shop and all their 50 cent boxes. When's the last time you've been there?
Just last week.
He goes there all the time.
I do. It's only like 5 minutes from my work. So
yeah, you go lunch break, he's there digging through those boxes, buying his books. But this corporate event is the first one-of-its-kind type thing.
Yeah.
And when I say one-of-a-kind, I'm not kidding, because the lineup of these people coming to a comic shop is unheard of.
It's almost like a Comic-Con by itself.
Do you know a few of the names?
I do.
Okay, go ahead. Leave the big one for me.
Oh, okay. Well, Mark Silvestri is going to be there.
Nice.
Robert Kirkman is
That's
a
big name.
That's for sure. And then the Savage Dragon, I can't think of his name.
Eric Larson.
Eric Larson's going to be there. Valentino.
Yeah. And the big one for me is Todd McFarlane.
Woo, man.
Is going to be here in literally 10 miles away. About 10, 12 miles away from our house. The good news is I am in talks with the comic shop owner. His name is Chris, great guy. We're probably going to be covering the event and maybe sitting down with some of these creators and talking about comics and promoting the event. So as more information becomes available, you'll find it right here on the Comics with Bueller channel. And who knows, you might even find it on Everything Comics. That's his channel. You can check that out as well. But I'm pretty excited. When that news dropped, my heart skipped a beat.
Oh, absolutely. No, as soon as I found out, I was at work and you called me. And when I hung up the phone, I had to go tell 12 people, you won't guess what's happening. This is epic. Just absolutely epic.
And it's free.
Even better.
It's free. It's a free signing. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of people there. I'm thinking thousands. It's already in the paper. You know, the Columbian local paper already covered it. This type of event, people will come from all over the United
come from
States.
Out of state. Yeah, for sure.
For this, because of these names getting together in one place. You know, obviously the main reason why is because Image Comics is located here in Portland, Oregon, and they are all in town for their corporate meeting or something like that. And then Chris, the owner of the shop, was able to put this together.
Wow.
So it's fantastic. So
absolutely. I mean, this is one of those things that doesn't happen very often. I mean, in our lifetimes, it hasn't ever happened. And so, I mean, epic. And we're right here next to it. How about that?
We're very lucky. We're very excited. We're still kind of glowing. You know, the phone was ringing off the hook when it came out and stuff. And that's pretty much all we've been talking about. And it's going to be a good time. Come December 10th, and all those people, and Comics with Bueller, Everything Comics. Come on, it doesn't get better than that, does it?
Can't wait.
Awesome. Hey, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who participated in the auction on Saturday night. We're going to go ahead and get everything mailed out today and the rest of the stuff tomorrow. So hopefully by the end of the week, actually Thanksgiving's coming up, so it might delay a day or whatnot.
Maybe a little bit.
But probably for the most part, everything will show up at the end of this week. If not, probably Monday next week. But let's go ahead and get into our first 5 comics. What we're doing 5 comics at the beginning, first 5, and then we'll do 5 comics at the end, the final 5. And we'll go ahead and let Bob start first with his first 5 comics.
Absolutely. And a couple weeks ago, we went to the Frankenstein comic swap. It was a pretty awesome event. You can get a lot of comics really cheap. And I picked up a bunch of Thor back from the 90s. I don't think these covers get enough love. And this kind of helped me fill out my run. So the first one I picked up was Thor 469. Love that cover.
Nice.
And then I have number 468. Kind of going backwards. Didn't mean to do that.
You know Thor died just a couple days ago in Captain Marvel, right? He got his head cut off.
Oh, that's right. I did see that. I don't know if that's actually happening.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Right.
Then I got number 466. Whoops. Dropping him. Here we go.
He's dropped other comics on here. It's not me anymore. It's this guy.
And then I got number 467. Love that cover. And then we'll round it out. I really like this one. This has got full-on 90s action. We got 481. And there you have it. Some 90s Thor action. Pretty much dug it.
Very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and show my first 5. And you know what? I have to start with a shiny cover. I also got these books at the Frankenstein swap meet. And these are probably already gone because I'm selling these in the auction. So they're probably already packed up because we're filming this a little early. But this is Silver Surfer number 75. Some nice shiny cover action. And we got the Punisher number 10 with one of your favorites, that Daredevil guy.
Yes, love that.
Apparently he likes Daredevil. And then, of course, Todd McFarlane. Since we just talked about Todd McFarlane, I figured I might as well show some of his books. Amazing Spider-Man number 320.
Paladin.
Then we have 321. I'm not a huge Paladin fan.
Neither am I.
Nobody is. And we have Amazing Spider-Man number 318 with the Scorpion. I am a fan of the Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion.
So that's kind of cool. Not bad.
Awesome stuff.
All these were like $1 or less, I believe. I know I didn't. There's like maybe 3 or 4 books at that whole place I spent more than $1 on.
Right. I think the Thor books I just showed I got for 50 cents a piece.
Awesome.
So.
A lot of good deals to be had if you know what you're looking for. This Frankenstein event that happens in the Portland area every 3 months, you can get tons of stuff there. Everyone I know who goes there, they always leave and they're like, dude, I can't believe we had this much luck finding these great comics. So
yeah, and I love it because it's like an old school Comic-Con. It's nothing but long boxes and people just going through comics. Love it.
Absolutely. So we are going to go ahead and jump on our topic. And basically what we do, we take our comments that we receive on our sneak peek video that comes out earlier in the week. This one is from the video for, I believe the comic's coming out September 27th. And the question we raised was speculation, good or bad, for the comic book industry. And all these comments right here are going to drive the discussion that me and Bob have right here. So I'm going to go ahead and let Bob read the first couple comments. And he brought his glasses today.
I did. I brought my eyes.
There you go. So we'll see how this goes.
So the first one is from I Love Signed Comics. Hey, I love signed comics too. He says, I'd say speculation is bad for the hobby based on who is doing the speculation. When non-collector speculators smell money, the market gets flooded with crap, and when the gold rush is done, the whole thing collapses in on itself. Look at the sports and card hobby and what they did to it. I collect and sometimes spec on a couple of books in order to be able to save up to buy a bigger book. That's smart. There's a difference between the two types, collector versus non-collector. The former is good for the industry, the latter not so much.
So, the first thing, I Love Signed Comics. He's been a long-time viewer of the channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate the comment. And we're going to get into the speculation thing pretty deep. But one thing I want to pull from his comment, he mentioned sports cards. Mm-hmm. And obviously the bubble burst on that.
Right.
There is a big difference. And the difference between sports card and comics, and it's not reflected in this comment, sports cards could continuously be printed that year. It wasn't just a one-time print. and then they're out type thing, to where comics are monthly. Literally, they come out 1 month, they print them, they put them out, that's it, they're done. They move on to the next issue.
Yep.
Sports cards are yearly, to where they'll print a box at the beginning of the year, and they'll print the same box at the end of the year, and those are all considered the same print. Absolutely. So there's a lot more of those to flood the market, and plus they're easier to produce. They're just a little card.
Sure.
So I've always seen the similarities, but there is that big difference between those, and like I said, the simple fact that you could print them all year long.
Absolutely, but I think and it does when it comes to that. That's why the value is nowhere near the same.
Yeah.
But when he's talking about the actual type of people, who go out and buy these collector versus somebody who's in it for the money. You're talking about a dynamic, whether it's cards or comic books, where people talk about the bubble getting inflated and then it deflating. And I think what we're seeing inside of the current speculation market, it's not the same type of thing. I don't think we have that investor bubble that we had during the 90s. Yeah. And one of the reasons for that is it's just not there. Yeah.
And it's surprising it's not, because you would think that with a movie like Black Panther coming out, that you would get a ton of people, I need to go buy the Black Panther book type thing. That's not the case.
No.
There is no rush. There is no rush to go buy Captain Marvel #1, at least the new issue that comes out. And that was the difference. I mean, before, in the 90s, there was the rush to go get that book, the brand new #1, to get that, let's get 20 copies type thing.
Right.
That rush isn't there, but yet it seems like it would be there because of how popular these characters are, because they are in the mainstream type thing. And I think maybe since they are in the mainstream, maybe that just takes away from it. And people don't think about it. They think about the t-shirt instead and not the comic book.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you really look at I think the current state of what Comic-Cons look like nowadays are exactly a reflection of this. People aren't going to Comic-Con, to pick up comic books anymore. They're going to Comic-Con because it's a pop culture event, and
I go there to look at the ladies.
Oh, good for you, man. But bottom line is, it's not really a comic convention anymore. Yep. It's a pop culture a fest, and where you can buy all the merch for that particular character, and but having said that, there is a difference between an investor and a collector, and we are starting to see people come into the market nowadays that are strictly there just for the money and have no knowledge of comic books whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not the same as it was in the 90s. This is a new breed.
That's a very small percentage.
It is. It really is.
It's a very minimal percentage of people that are doing that.
Absolutely.
Before, I think it was a lot larger.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. But, I mean, again, I think that piggybacked on what was going on with the cards. Yeah. Everybody was looking for the quick buck, and it just, you can't make money off of this. You can, but not in the way that they think they can.
All right, you got another one up there.
Absolutely.
Put the glasses back on.
Yes,
man.
I am.
I got mine on, but mine aren't even real.
There you go. This one comes from Old School Comics. He says, if publishers, writers, artists, and editors focus only on telling good stories, then everything else takes care of itself. If speculation hype builds interest and, more importantly, sales in a series, how can that be bad? Comic Tom gives a great answer to this question on his channel.
Tom actually covers this very well. I mean, his channel does a lot of, his top 10 list is pretty much based on speculation type thing. And it does spark the market. I mean, it really does. I think the thing about speculation, a lot of times it does get a bad rap. It really goes hand in hand with comic books. And the comic book industry does not exist without it. It's the combination of both. It's the combination of people enjoying good stories, good art, collector memorabilia, which this actually is.
Right.
It's the combination that drives it. So I think that's a good comment when they're talking about, what's wrong with that. I don't think that there is. I think what you mentioned a little bit earlier about the guy coming in and buying all these copies of books, like the type thing, that takes away from it a little bit. But like you said, we just don't see that as much anymore.
Absolutely. And, the comment he's making about Comic Tom, I think he's actually talking about the episode where you, Reggie, and Tom were on talking about speculation. And you guys all had great points on that. But, really when it comes down to it, the people that come into the shops nowadays that are speculators, most of them are people who, they do like comics, they're doing their research and they're looking for the books that they think are going to spike, quickly. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to flip those books, right? And I mean, if it's generating more interest in comics and the industry is actually benefiting from it, how can that be a bad thing? So I agree with that.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, myself and Comic Tom are going to be doing something together here very soon. So be on the lookout within the next week or so. You'll see him and I talking about comics. I mean, that's pretty much what we do. So, but we'll be working together yet again because we've done a lot of projects in the past, and now we're going to do some more. So it should be a lot of fun. So mine is from Reggie Simmons, and this is the double G Reggie Simmons, not the Reggie Simmons IFBB Pro.
Okay.
It's a different guy. Different guy. Reggie says, speculation gets people in the stores. So I'm going to say it's good. However, when it takes comics away from people who actually like to read them, I don't like it. And there's another comment, and they're very similar, so they're going to kind of go together. This is from CMA Thunder. Spec is fine up and until the point it takes books out of fans' hands who just buy said books to enjoy the story.
So, I mean, great point, and I hear what they're saying. But again, that sounds like a comment that was, from that old mindset of what happened in the 90s when people would come in and they would buy 20, 30 copies of whatever book they thought was going to be huge. And then next thing you know, nobody's got anything. Yeah. The market's a lot different nowadays. Back then you had newsstands and you had comic shops, and a lot of them would order what they thought was going to be sold. Yeah. And whatever wasn't sold, usually the stores would destroy the copies of the other or mar them in such a way that they couldn't be sold after that, so that they weren't on the hook for the money. Nowadays, comic shops, they have to order what they're going to buy. And so they're not apt to buy a whole lot of anything. So they kind of have to speculate on what's going to be popular, what's going to be not, and what people are going to buy. And I'd venture to say that the reason why sometimes you go in a shop and you don't have a book is because that comic shop is kind of thinking when they were buying, I don't know if too many people are going to buy that book, and so only buy a few. And then when the word gets out that this is going to be a hot book or it's going to be popular, people go out and start buying it, and that goes away very quickly. Yeah. And then when we come in the shop, then we're all upset about it. But I don't think it's because of speculators the way it was happening back then.
Yeah. There's a couple points from these comments I want to make. And the first thing is, and you kind of touched on this, comic shops don't buy as many copies of books as they used to. No. Just because the simple price point is quite a bit more. The price point back then, let's say when Image came out, was $1.95 per book. So the comic shops were paying about 80 cents per book. Now the price point is $4 to $5 a book, and each comic shop is paying $2 to $3 per book type thing. So they're putting out more money.
Absolutely.
So they just can't afford to order 20, 30, 40 copies of these books. Now the second point I want to talk about this, and I actually mentioned this a little earlier, and one of the things both these comments said, it takes away from, if books are all gone, and the people who want to read them, they don't have access to the books. Now, to combat that, there is the option to buy digital comics. I am not a fan of digital comics.
Neither am I.
But at the time when this was happening in the 90s, and you'd go and they'd be all gone, you did not have that option to buy a digital comic.
Right.
We live in a time now to where if you're really dedicated to this book and you want to know because you're a fan of the story, you do have that option to not go and pay a higher price to get your copy because somebody bought them all and they're selling them on eBay for $15-$20.
Right.
You can buy a digital copy. I personally have never bought a digital comic. I don't plan on doing it. I'm not a fan of it, but the option is there, and that is a nice option to have.
Sure. I mean, truthfully, I think the only digital comic that I've ever bought is I buy the Marvel Unlimited app, $10 a month, and it has almost every comic book from the 60s all the way up till a year ago. Yeah. Right? And so that helps me to read stuff that I didn't pick up or I wouldn't be able to pick up or pay an enormous amount of money for. But I have never bought a brand new comic as in a digital edition. Yeah. But it is an option. And so I guess the complaint is that if I can't get my book and I can buy it digitally and you're upset about that, is it because you're a collector, or is it because you actually want to read the book?
Yeah.
You know, and so there's a trade-off.
It's a little bit of both, really.
For sure.
All right, you're up next.
Let me put my my eyes.
Here
back
we go
on.
again. You ever see that Married with Children episode when Alan Budney gets his eyeglasses?
No.
And he puts them on and he can see what Peg looks like, and he literally takes the eyeglasses and throws them on the ground and smashes them.
That's right. I didn't see that.
This guy.
It's all right. So this one comes from Scott Thielen. He says, I really dislike speculation on comics due to movies, games, or other media that has nothing to do with the comic collecting hobby. Books used to be important because of the content inside the book. Also, these speculations rarely pay off once the buzz of the movies wears off. What do you think about that?
I think he's right on money. I actually agree with him. I've never liked the fact that speculation is based on something appearing in a movie. I've always been more of a fan of, it's because of a story. It's because of a character. Perfect example, Immortal Hulk. Okay? Mm-hmm. That story is purely enjoyed because of the book. It has nothing to do with anything in the movies or TV show, and that book has spiked and it's worth money, and it's a great read. The artwork is awesome. I like that book. And then when I look at a book, and I always bring this as a reference, the first appearance of Ghost in Iron Man, because that was the villain in Ant-Man 2.
Right.
So that book spiked for, I don't know, a month, and it was like $20. Mm-hmm. It's now back in the dollar bin type thing. Right. And that spiked because of that movie and the buzz around that movie. Most of the time, like he said, they don't sustain that value. There are some exceptions, but I would much rather invest my money into a series like Immortal Hulk that literally is valuable because of what's in the book and the story and the art and the stuff like that.
Right. And I completely agree. One of the points he makes I would love about his comment is that he says that books used to spike because of the content or the stories inside, not because of the media, and that's true. I mean, it's very rare that we see an actual story in modern times actually spike a book like it used to. One of the things that bothers me about the current state of the industry is that I do think that the movies have done something that has never been done before, and that's in all this speculation because of the movie coming out. It's Marvel and DC, actually all the comic book companies have started to produce comics because those spec buyers are starting to hit the market, right? So they want to make money too. And what worries me is that we're seeing a flood. I mean, have you ever seen as many variants as you do now? I mean, really, it's just incredible. And I think that what they're doing is they're making a buck off those spec buyers who are trying to make a buck off of the specs that are the hype that's coming up from the movies.
Yeah.
And so the problem with that is that a company like Marvel will create all these different books to be able to do that. Yeah. Once that starts going away, they're still creating that. That makes it unprofitable, and that's a problem. They've gotten into financial trouble before because of exactly this type of thing. I mean, what do you think about that?
I've always had kind of a mixed opinion on as far as the first publisher and spec, because the spec market is really a secondary market.
That's absolutely right.
And Marvel and DC do not see anything from a secondary market. They see sales from cover price books, and if they produce a number of books, it's in their best option to produce as many as they can.
Absolutely. And
sell as many as they can. They're not the ones that jack up the price. They don't make a book more than cover price. The comic shops are the ones who say, oh, hey, this book is hot. I'm going to sell it for $10. Or the people who buy it and sell it on eBay. Marvel doesn't see any of that money. Those books have already been bought. DC doesn't see any of that money. Those books have already been bought for the retail wholesale price. That's the only thing they see. So I've heard arguments about, they're trying to drive the spec market. They don't see any money from it.
No, I would agree with that. But what they do see money from is how many number ones are they putting out?
All the time.
Right? Because what? Number ones do what? They generate money.
Yeah.
And when you start putting out a bunch of number ones based upon the movies that are coming out, right, people are going to go out and buy them. Yeah. And then also those number ones sometimes you get 40 or 50 different variants for those, right?
And by the way, variants is our next topic for next week.
Awesome stuff. But I think that's a part of it. I think that Marvel is capitalizing on speculation in that way. Yeah. As people are hyping for these movies, they're putting out content in such a way that they know people are gonna buy. They're always gonna make money off the number ones. Yeah. And if you got something that's hot in the moment, I just put out a bunch of variants because it makes it fun and exciting, right?
Yeah. Okay, I get it. All right, we have one last comment from John Minoz. I'm probably saying that wrong. He says, I like speculation. It could be annoying at times, but without it, I believe I would be a lot less enthusiastic from week to week. I like that comment because that is a true comment. And trust me, I've been at a comic shop when some guy calls them on the phone and he heard about a hot book coming out and he asked them if they have this hot book. And they're like, yeah, we have a copy. And you can almost hear the guy on the other end of the phone, get all excited and stuff.
You know I'm laughing right now, right?
And that guy on that phone was this guy right here. And what comic was that?
It was Marvel Comics presents number 6.
Number 6. So
right.
Apparently the first appearance of a new Wolverine daughter.
Right.
Because, he's got a lot of kids.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. But,
right.
I mean, I like that comment because there is a treasure hunt type feel to going to the comic shop, finding a book, knowing it's worth more than what you're going to pay for it, or maybe down the line it'll be worth more than what you're willing to pay for it.
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10, or even 99 times out of 100, they're not. But that one time drives you back every week, and it does make a difference.
It does. It really does. And I'll just say that right now, I mean, when it comes to speculation, I do it too. I try not to do it, in a bad way. But really, I think all of us do it to some extent. And for me, sometimes I get FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And then also...
yeah, he does.
But also, what I try to stay away from is emotional buys. And when you have some of these type of things coming out and all of a sudden it seems like hot, I want to hop on that as quick as I can. And sometimes that can be an emotional buy.
Yeah. And who's not going to buy a book for cover price and know that they can sell it for $50?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've done it. I'm not ashamed to say that. But I was the lucky one to find a book that was $4 sitting on the shelf. I knew it was selling for $50. And I can literally flip that book or sell it and then go buy more books that aren't worth that much money.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
That's pretty much what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just let's be frank. When it comes to comic book collecting, I'm in it. I mean, you have my money. I'm going to buy, the books because I love them. I do read them, but there are some grails that I still want to get, and so I do. I do buy books that that I know I'm going to sell pretty quickly because there is a bubble on it. It's starting to get hot. And if I can make money off of it now, and it'll help me buy my Hulk 181 later, who's going to fault me?
There you go. So bottom line, speculation, your thoughts, good or bad?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Really, I don't think it's hurting the market like it did in the 90s. I think speculation actually drives the market. And if you're driving more interest for comic books, I mean, we want more of that.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good. I think it's necessary. I think if I had to describe it in one form, it's necessary to be a part of the collecting experience for comics, because if it wasn't there, I think our collecting experience that we have wouldn't be around. I don't think it would survive.
I agree. So. Absolutely.
Okay.
Great topic.
That was awesome. Enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully you guys like that. Let us know what you thought about this in the comments down below. Like I said, this is the new format for the coffee videos. We're going to be covering topics based on your comments. Drive the topic that we're talking about. Now we're to the point to where our final 5. We're going to show some more books. Let me set these down. I'll let Bob go first with his final 5.
Absolutely. And again, I got these from the Frankenstein swap, and these ones are some Spawn covers. Every single Spawn cover, I think we said it last week, every Spawn cover there is actually amazing. And whoops, here I go, dropping them again.
That's all right. As long as I'm not doing it and they're not my books, it's all good.
And then we got number 40, like that one.
You got all these at the Frankenstein?
Frankenstein.
I probably got all the ones I got from the same guy.
Probably. This is number 55. I really like that one. And then we have number 56 where he's in prison. And then, of course, we got number 57. I forget what this character's name. The big old ape. Pretty awesome.
Cyber Ape.
Cyber Ape.
I just made that up. I don't know if that's it, but it sounds about right.
It sounded right to me.
All right, I got my final 5.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so my buddy Sam gave me this as a present. Peter
Sam.
Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, $2.97, second printing. Spider-Man's locked up in jail. I found these in like the 50-cent bin at Comics Adventure. Justice League of America #1. This is the variant. This is the sketch cover. Thought that was kind of cool looking. And then here is the non-sketch cover, same cover.
Wow.
Looks kind of nice. And then I found this one, Secret Wars #1, and I sold a batch of these, so I'm trying to put this set together again. And then I found from the original Secret Wars #7, and I believe that's the death of a Spider-Woman, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah. Great looking cover. This is an iconic cover. Actually, it's been around. You know, it's very identifiable with Secret Wars, so I had to pick it up, and it was only 50 cents. This got a little tear, but that's okay. So anyway, some nice books that we showed. Another new thing that we're going to do on this is we're going to review one comic from last week, and it's actually been sitting up here the whole time. And this came out last week. This is Olympia by Image Comics, and Bob read it, and I read it, and it was actually probably my pick for last week. But Bob, let me know your thoughts on this book.
So I picked it up because people were talking about the Jack Kirby goodness that was going to happen inside of it, that it was kind of a tribute throwback. And as you can see on the front cover, it does have a very Kirby-esque feel to it. Especially, I saw the Ben Day dots, and I'm like, oh, I am so in for this. And so reading the comic, I liked it. I mean, for a good first start, it starts you off in a place where this cosmic thing is happening, and then brings you back down to Earth. And here's this kid who's reading comic books, and this basically God shows up.
Yeah.
And I just love the kid's reaction. I love I can't think of what the character's name is.
Olympia.
Olympia.
I don't know.
I thought he was from Olympia.
Yeah.
But I mean, his reaction to our world. There's some comedy inside of it, which I really enjoyed. And it basically set it up for what the next book is going to be, and I'm on board. I think I'll pick up the next copy.
Yeah, and this book, so you guys know, it actually had the preview for issue 2 at the end of this book. It's like the first 3 or 4 pages for issue 2. So this is a thicker book. I liked it right away because, and I told Bob this, there's a scene at the very beginning, the kid's out, he's like in the forest, he's sitting by a tree, he's got his candy bar and his soda, and he's reading a comic book. And literally, I saw myself, that's what I used to do when I was a kid. And when the gentleman dropped from the sky, the Olympia character, he actually wasn't too surprised. He's like, "Oh, hey, what's good? Let me see how I can help you," because he was knocked out and stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminded me of the last action hero movie. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I did.
Where the superhero comes off the screen and joins the kid type thing for the adventures or stuff like that. Very similar take when I saw this. Also a little bit of God Country from Donny Cates, #1.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of similar, drops from the sky, type thing. Kind of that same. It's probably not going to be as dark as what God Country is.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed it. Like you mentioned, there is some comedy involved. There's actually a reference to Diamond Distribution in here. That's just awesome. How many times have you heard this? And this is actually in the comic. The kid goes to the comic shop to buy the new issue of this comic, Olympia, because, like I said, his superhero fell from the sky. He goes to the comic shop. He asks for the new issue. The guy at the comic shop says, "Sorry, kid, Diamond shorted us on our shipment. We didn't get any." I've heard that many a time.
Many times.
And then literally, it's in the book. And just the simple fact that this is a book distributed by Diamond.
Right.
And it has that in there. Awesome. Loved it. It was fun. The artwork is, it is what it is. It's not going to win any awards or wow you. Exactly. But it's a fun book to read.
Yeah.
And honestly, I heard the review from Robbie at Pop Culture Philosophers, and his review sold me on this book. And it did not disappoint. So thank you, Robbie. did a great job. So anyway, this was my pick of the week. I don't think it was your pick of the week, but I think you liked it.
I did. Okay.
But it was definitely my pick of the week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But anyway, guys, that's all we have. Bob, did you want to say anything at all?
No, I just appreciate you having me on the show. Of course, stay tuned for Everything Comics, putting out great content all the time. And I just had Bueller on the show this last Saturday, and we're going to do a lot of stuff going forward. So I hope you guys stay tuned. But Bueller, I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. This was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to next week and all the weeks after. Anyway, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.